Chuck Olenek. I'm a reenactor. And for 36 years in the classroom, I reenacted history. That's the reenactor part. That means pretty much wear funny clothes, play the music for the time period in the background, bring in stuff for kids to be able to handle and actually make history tangible. And I've got time on my hands and a passion for bringing the past to life and also preserving landmarks. And what I'm doing today is I'm on another leg of a journey that I very pretentiously like to call my mission Odyssey. And that's to document or record each of these places in Alta California that were connected with the mission era, and then later other side pieces. And what I'm looking at doing is visiting each mission, Asistencia, so spin-off missions, Estancia that I can find. Those are the ranch stations associated with the missions, and Presidios. Those are the fortifications to protect the missions and the Spanish interests. And what I'm doing today is I'm doing round 2 at El Presidio Real de Santa Barbara, because I didn't finish. I had too much material when I was putting things together, and I decided rather than just cutting out a whole bunch of stuff, time to make another video. So that's what I'm doing today, and I hope you'll stick with me. Here's a layout of El Presidio Real de Santa Barbara and the way it is now with streets running through it. So this will give you a rough idea of how long one side of the quadrangle was for the Presidio. The 2-story structure, there would have been 2 of those, one in each corner. Those would be the observation posts. The Presidio's armament generally consisted of 8 bronze cannon, 8, 12, and 16 pounders. In November and December of 1818, Alta California was panicking. They had received word in October that the pirate Hippolyte Bouchard, who considered himself more of a privateer working for Argentina, was on the move, and that he would be raiding the coast. And in the Sandwich Islands, he had picked up second ships, and now he's got 2 ships in his fleet, a total of 52 guns between them. The 2 crews numbered about 340 men, and he attacked the Presidio at Monterey, burned that to the ground except for the chapel, and he also spared the mission of San Carlos because he was a good Catholic, even though he was a pirate, and he told his men to be good Catholics. And then he sailed down the coast and he raided a rancho called Nuestra Senora del Refugio, which was established in 1794, and it was a really prosperous rancho. And part of the reason it was prosperous was there was a lot of smuggling and illegal trade going on, so there's money to be made. And at Refugio, the pirates were confused because they've got a crew of like 340 guys, and what Captain De La Guerra ordered his men to do when he sent them north from the Presidio is they were doing things like go take their horses behind some bushes or some trees, change garb, switch horses, ride back the other way, and then they just kept doing this back and forth. So they created this illusion that there were a whole bunch of soldados de cuerda. And what ended up happening is 3 of the crew were captured, and at that point, it's like they were probably jailed in Mission Santa Barbara, because Mission Santa Barbara actually had a jail. And then there was some negotiation back and forth about what was going to happen with the prisoners. Bouchard wants his 3 men back. He is negotiating with the captain of the Santa Barbara Presidio de la Guerra, and they come to an agreement. Bouchard will be given his 3 men back, and in exchange, he will hand over someone that he took as a prisoner at the Presidio in Monterey, who actually joined the pirates. Bouchard was forced to swear that he would not attack any place else in Alta California. Of course, he lied, and he moved on to Mission San Juan Capistrano, which we'll cover later. The native Chumash, who were initially friendly to the Spanish, became more resentful as their culture was attacked. Also, they were being forced to work harder when Spain didn't send supplies as often, and the Presidios demanded supplies. Relations between the Chumash and the Spanish are falling apart, and that's largely because in 1810 Mexico was trying to break away from Spain, and what's happening is the Spanish are sending fewer and fewer supplies to Alta California, and that means the Presidios are telling the missions to tell the native Californians, work harder. We need to keep the Presidio supplied. And the conditions are getting worse. And in 1821, Mexico achieves independence, and things are going to get even worse for the missions. And finally, February of 1824, the pot is boiling. And the Chumash have a revolt plan. They end up launching it a little early because a Chumash boy went from Mission La Purísima to Mission Santa Ynez to visit a relative who was locked up, and the boy was severely beaten, and that's when everything pretty much exploded. The Chumash burned down Mission Santa Ynez, they stormed La Purísima, they took control of that, and they're going to march down to Mission Santa Barbara, took that control of that bloodlessly. And you have to understand, the soldados are fighting for their lives, and they're not being very kind at all. There's an account of a couple of natives walking from Dos Pueblos, and they're going towards Santa Barbara, and they know nothing of the revolt. They were beaten to death simply because they were Chumash. The revolt will not end until June or July of 1824, when a second expedition, will chase Chumash up essentially what's going to be the Grapevine, and they were offered amnesty. End of the revolt, but things are going to be tense. The Chumash Revolt could have easily divided Alta California, limiting the Spaniards to communication by sea, but it failed. Now, even though the capital was officially in Monterrey for most of the Spanish period and all of the Mexican period. A lot of the upper class or ruling class preferred the Santa Barbara area. And so because of this, a community is going to end up growing outside of the walls of the Presidio, and the pueblo of Santa Barbara is going to be established by 1826. Santa Barbara in time became a major port of call. It's mentioned in the book 2 Years Before the Mast. It also gave the Presidio something to do. The soldados had to keep the islands clear of smugglers. The Spanish once had plans to establish a mission on the Channel Islands, but resources were scarce enough on the islands that the Spanish shelved that plan. However, ranchos did get established, and the Presidio did check to stop smuggling. El Presidio Real de Santa Barbara, even though it's like one of the last ones that's established, it's going to remain in use the longest. Well, the Mexican War happens, and December 27th of 1846, John C. Fremont led the California Battalion into very much a largely deserted Santa Barbara. And he met with the person who was essentially mom for Santa Barbara, Doña Rodriguez, and she agreed to accompany him as he traveled further south, and was largely instrumental in convincing the Mexican forces that they really ought to sign the Treaty of Cahuenga, which would surrender California to the Americans. And she also was very responsible for convincing Fremont to err on the side of mercy in order to make the treaty more agreeable. So I guess we don't really want to call it what it was really called, the Terms of Capitulation. El Cuartel, the second oldest building in the state, is sometimes described as the guardhouse and sometimes the family residence of the soldier Cañedo, who was assigned to guard the western gate of the Plaza de Armas and to whom it was deeded after the Presidio became inactive. A statue of King Carlos III, who ruled when Spain established the Presidio, was donated by King Juan Carlos I and Queen Sofia in 1982 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the founding of the Presidio. For some, the presence of the statue is viewed as an acknowledgement of Spanish heritage, while others feel that it, like the Father Serra statues, represents colonial oppression. Okay, so far we have 6 missions accomplished. I think it's 5 asistancias. We have a couple of estancias, if I count Diego Sepulveda Adobe. We also now have 2 Presidios out of the way. So it's on to the road, going 1.5 miles to Mission Santa Barbara. I hope you stick with me.